January 6th was this man, Robert Keith Packer. He's wearing a sweatshirt that reads Camp Auschwitz. The bottom of his shirt are the words, "Work brings freedom," which is a rough translation of a phrase that was on the gates of the infamous Nazi concentration camp. He's been arrested and charged with entering the Capitol without permission and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. As authorities continue to round up these rioters from January 6th, they're also dealing with a new threat of violence in the days to come.
I believe that mob is just a very small sample, a very small microcosm of an expansive threat that literally stretches from one corner of this country to the next. We know that militia groups have multiplied over the last 4, 5, 10 years. We know that the popularity of these conspiracy theories like the QAnon theories have just completely taken off on social media. So this is not a small thing. It's certainly not contained to that group of 5 or 10,000 people that stormed the Capitol. I think that this mindset, this kind of warped acceptance of conspiracy instead of reality has fueled a drift towards right-wing extremism that we are going to be having to deal with for years and years after President Trump is no longer in the White House.
An FBI bulletin warns of armed protests planned for all 50 state capitals in the days leading up to the inauguration of Joe Biden on January 20th. Attack on the Capitol on January 6th may have been just the beginning.
I've never seen an FBI threat bulletin that broad in scope. To say that they believe there could be violent protests at state houses in all 50 states is an extraordinary thing. And let's think about it. They don't have to successfully attack all 50 state houses. If they do stage an attack in 2 places, in 3 locations, that's going to look like an outstanding success to that extremist community.
This is already a stunning win for white power activists. I think it will be celebrated in accelerationist and white power circles online. I think that people will see this as a wake-up call to others that can be persuaded. And already we see that in the doubling down of support for the insurrection in certain conservative circles.
Each one of these events has the effect of inspiring and bringing others to the cause, giving them ideas about how to act in their own towns, in their own states. This is very similar to what we saw with the Islamic State. As they established the caliphate in Syria, the messaging to foreign recruits turned. Originally it was, come fight with us in Syria, and then the message became, don't come to Syria, stay where you are, and engage in jihad in your own towns, in your own cities, in your own states. That is the same sort of development that we could see here. You know, extremists who were watching the events on January 6th could be motivated and inspired to take similar action in their own home states. And that's just a diverse and expansive threat that's going to be hard to stay in front of.
This pro-Trump forum has posts calling for round 2 on January 20th. Please take urgent action to save our country, reads one entry. It's our last chance. Another user posted this: I don't even care about keeping Trump in power, I care about war. Experts who study extremism say what happened at the Capitol could have been a show of force and a precursor to more attacks that could be potentially far deadlier.
As somebody who worked on Al-Qaeda related terrorism throughout the 2000s at the Justice Department, and worked extensively on counterterrorism investigations and cases, there were several times where we were anticipating a follow-on attack to a world event. I have that same feeling now. This period between January 6th and the inauguration feels very tense to me. It feels like there is a substantial threat that exists.
Historically, mass casualty targets might be oriented toward the federal government, as the Oklahoma City bombing was. There's good reason to see from FBI intel that they're also targeting state houses. But then there's also a question about other kinds of infrastructure attacks. So the Hoover Dam has been a target of the movement recently. Other kinds of gas lines, synagogues, various kinds of other oppositional spaces like ethnic studies classrooms have been targets in the past, and so have things like public water supply. So I think it's very difficult to know kind of where they'll strike next, but I do think that there is it's hard to argue that there is a enormous surge of momentum right now that people should take very, very seriously.
I think all Americans should keep their eyes and ears open and watch, be aware of their surroundings, be aware of things that are developing around them.
This is why law enforcement says it's essential to find the rioters and learn more about the level of planning for the insurrection of January 6th and who exactly was involved. Any information about those who were involved could help investigators not only bring justice to those who deserve it, but also help keep America safe from any future attacks.